Can't see. Good afternoon. Welcome to BYJU'S exam prep. Welcome to your Tuesday editorial analysis. My name is Savitri Krishnamurthy. I teach English and reasoning at BYJU'S. And today we are meeting after a slight gap because last Tuesday was a holiday. Good afternoon, Nidhi. I hope you have done a lot of reading in the last 15 days. Today for the analysis, I have not picked up an editorial. What I have picked up instead is an article from Aeon essays. Actually, it was an essay and I have taken a small excerpt from it. All right, so while we wait for your friends to join in, Nidhi, what have you been reading in the last 2 weeks? Did you do a lot of reading? Did you do a little reading? What have you done? And did you take the open mock that we told you about? Yes? No? All right. Okay. I'll give you, as usual, I'll give you 40 seconds to read each slide. Then I'll summarize it for you and we'll look at the questions. All right. Start reading. Your 40 seconds starts now. Tell me when you're done. I'll move to the next slide. This will be slightly more difficult than your regular editorial. The language will be little difficult, but I will summarize it for you, each slide as we read. All right, the first slide, what does he say? Sigmund Freud was a great psychologist, began his groundbreaking work as the father of psychoanalysis by postulating that his patients' symptoms were physical responses to traumatic events or taboo desires dating from childhood. That basically whatever symptoms you have are deep-rooted. Deep-rooted, they are the physical symptoms of events of your past, of your childhood. He found that if these people could be encouraged to talk without inhibition, to free associate on what they were feeling, to just talk freely, they would eventually find the source of their problems and the cure for what ailed them. With this in view, he made talk central to his therapeutic method, hence the talking cure. So what's the first paragraph talking about? Freud, psychoanalysis, and his method of treating problems, which is the talking cure. He made his patients talk about their problems so that he could figure out what the source of the problem was and then cure it. Although many of Freud's theories have since been refuted, most of Freud's theories have been proved wrong. So since that time, a lot of his theories have been proved wrong, people have said these are not correct. The talking cure has endured. This talking cure, that talk your way through good health has endured from that time to now. How is it being practiced now? Clinical psychologists still recommend talk therapy as a treatment for both generalized anxiety as well as more severe mental health issues. The need for conversation is one that many people have not fully acknowledged, perhaps because they've not had the occasion to do enough of it or to do it well. So even now, psychologists use the talk therapy for treatment. However, not many people have realized the importance of good conversation. That is our first slide. Now read your second slide before I summarize it for you. Read it for 40 seconds. All right. Next, what does he say? good conversation, when you talk and that talk has the adjective good attached to it, then if you do, what is good talk? A talk that you carry with right amount of openness, it will give you a great deal of pleasure. It will be beneficial to you, not just individually but also collectively. So talking is good, not just for individuals but also for society. One particularly useful concept, he's told you most of Freud's theories have been refuted, but this theory goes on. One particularly useful concept that from Freud's talking cure is the idea of transference. So this is a technical term. What is this? That has been explained in this passage. In the course of therapy, Freud found that some patients felt that they had fallen in love with their therapists. Since he believed that all love relationships recapitulate what occurs within one's family of origin, he saw these patients' infatuation as a repetition of earlier intense feelings for a parent that could now be analyzed and controlled and directed towards more productive ends. So basically anything, he says that one had these deep-rooted love for one's parents, and when they became adults, this affection was transferred. That is what the idea of transfer to anybody, maybe a therapist, maybe anybody. So when a patient told that she fell for her therapist or he fell for his therapist, the author Freud said that this is nothing. It's nothing but a transference of a earlier parental love. And now we can control it, we can analyze it and use it for better results. I think this idea is relevant to our understanding of conversation as an important activity in connecting with others. So what is the author saying? We can use this idea of transference to study the benefits of conversation and study why conversations help us. All right, again, another 40 seconds for the next slide. All right, so now he talks about how transference can help us understand why conversations are beneficial. Putting aside the family baggage that Freud saw as accompanying transference. Now this part the author is not very, may not agree with, he is not supporting it. He doesn't say, he said put that aside. The parental love, deep-rooted love which is being transferred to the therapist, put it aside. Ignore that part. What are you looking at? The deep sense of affection seems to be always a part of conversation. He says, whenever you have a conversation, you have this deep sense of affection with the person with whom you have a conversation. Surely, then he gives you an example. Surely, readers can identify with that welling up of positive feeling, that almost falling in love with someone that we engage with in an authentic way. When you speak to somebody, you engage with somebody in a truly genuine way, you will feel a positive vibe. I have felt this not only for friends and even strangers with whom I have had probing conversations, but also for whole classes of students where it can seem that the group has merged into one deeply lovable and loving body. This is the author's take on it. He says, whenever you have a good conversation with a person or a group, he himself feels this feeling of affection, this feeling of love. The search for satisfaction by our desiring self, the self that wants something, seems to be at the heart of good conversation. So what is the benefits? What do we do with conversation? We seek to fill the lack in ourselves. When you're talking to somebody, one purpose is to fill up. You are missing something, you want to fill that gap. So we seek to fill the lack in ourselves by engaging with someone who is another, not you, somebody different, somebody else. That another person can come from another position, another background, another set of experiences. Everyone, everyone, when you think of it, is another. You are yourself. Any other person is another. Why is he another? At least in terms of the DNA, they are another. To recognize this difference and welcome it is the premise upon which good conversation is built. I am looking at another point of view. When you recognize that, that becomes the basis of any good conversation. Next paragraph, read it yourself and I'll read it with you. So what does the author say in the last paragraph? He is still continuing to talk about the benefits of conversation. Conversation also helps us deal with human fear. Fear of what? The unexpected and the changeable. All of us are afraid of the unexpected. All of us are afraid of what if things change? What if things don't remain the same? So conversation helps you deal with those basic fears. Talking with others allows you to practice uncertainty and open-endedness in a safe environment. It helps you deal with uncertainty. It helps you deal with open-endedness, openness, liberal thoughts. How? In a safe environment. After all, you're only talking. It offers exercise in extemporaneity. Extempore means impromptu. So it helps you talk on the spot. Think as you stand. Think on your feet. It deconverts us. It changes you from rigid and established forms of belief. If you are rigid, you have established forms of belief. Conversation converts you. It changes you. There is no better antidote for certainty than ongoing conversation with a friend who disagrees. These are all the benefits of conversation. Good conversation is an art. It's not something that's there. It's an art. It has to be perfected. The best way to do this is to converse regularly with a variety of people. How do you become a good cricketer? How do you become a good batsman? How do you think Virat Kohli became what he did or Tendulkar became what he did? Through constant practice. They perfected an art. Somebody perfects the art of bowling with the googly. Somebody perfects the art of a square drive. How do they do that? With practice. Similarly, conversation is an art and you can perfect it. How can you perfect it? With practice. Keep talking to people regularly. And then he gives a quote from a very famous book which was made into a very famous movie. Read the book if you can. And remember, you cannot understand the book if you read it once. You have to read it at least twice. Okay, it's a fantastic book. One of the best, one of my favorites. But as I said, the first time I read it, took a while to process it. The second time, I enjoyed it. By the time I read it the third time, loved it. All right. As the fat man says to Sam Spade in Dashiell Hammett's novel, The Maltese Falcon, please read the book. Dashiell Hammett's detective is a person called Sam Spade, and he was talking to a fat man, and the fat man told Sam Spade, talking something you can't do judiciously unless you keep in practice. That means you have to keep talking. You can talk well if you practice the art of talking. Clear? Understood? Nice passage on conversation, but the way it started with Freud and all, you thought, oh my God, this is like difficult psychology. It's always good to read a passage quickly, understand the entire, the basic, the main idea of the passage, which is what the first question is all about. Which of the following is in line with the author's main point? You've got 4 options. You don't need to go back to the passage to answer this. Remember, the main point is something that tells you the key points of the entire passage. It should not just talk about one fact. That's a wrong option. Any option that tells you only about one point mentioned in the passage is not the main point. It's just maybe one of the main points, maybe a supporting point. Freud's talking cure is based on the benefits of good conversation, which is the bedrock of civilized society. Is it A? Or B? Good conversation is an art that can be perfected and holds the key to human success. Human beings have a deep psychological need for good conversation, which was revealed in Freud's talking cure. A good conversation bridges the distance between people and imbues life with pressure. Which of these statements is aligns with the author's main point? Let's look at the first one. Freud's talking cure is based on the benefits of good conversation. And did he mention that it is the bedrock of civilized society? Yeah, Nidhi says it's C. Good. It's an art that can be perfected, true, but that's not a main point. And key to human success is not the right one. Hello, Virender, Vanshita, all good. Okay, C is the correct answer. Is C the correct answer? Oh, no. How is C the correct answer? Human beings have a deep psychological need for good conversation. Where is it said? Where has he said that human beings have a deep psychological need for good conversation? Which was revealed in Freud's talking cure. No. Freud said that you can talk. When you talk, your psychological problems come out. So you can find out the key. Something is wrong with you. Okay? You go to a therapist. The therapist makes you talk if it's a mental illness. So the therapist makes you talk, and when you talk, he finds from what you're saying, he finds the problem. But that does not mean they have a deep psychological need for good conversation. The benefits of good conversation, let's go back here. Zatking said it's B. Why not B? Holds the key to human success. He's not talked about success. He's talked more about an art that can be perfected. Even that's not the main point. Here, the main thing about conversation is given here. He says it is not just, it has a lot of benefits, not just for the individual but also for the society. Then he tells you what are the advantages. So essentially, the passage is all about the benefits of good conversation. And option D gives you some of the benefits. And the last part sums up the entire passage. Now, do you agree with me that D is the correct answer? Why not C? C is not what the author has said. Author hasn't said that we have a deep psychological need for good conversation. Just says how good conversation will help you deal with so many things, including imbues means fills up, imbues. Okay? Fills you with pleasure. So all the benefits of good conversation go here. There was a line more I could have added, but didn't want to make it very easy for you. Got it? Okay, let's now look at the next question. For this, you have to go back to the passage. I will show you the part where he talks about transference. Which of the following is the similarity or difference? It could be either between Freud's concept of transference and the author's. Okay, let's read the options and I'll take you back to the part where he talks about transference. Freud believed that transference could be controlled and analyzed, while the author thinks they cannot be analyzed. So one is the nature of transference, whether it can be analyzed, controlled, and whether the author feels they cannot be. Freud associates transference with familial connections, family, while the author does not. Freud saw a deep sense of affection accompanying a good conversation, while the author connected it to familial baggage. The author agrees completely with Freud's theory of transference and its accompanying familial baggage. Which of the options do you think is correct? Let's go back to where he talks about transference, right? Here he describes what is transference, where the patient falls in love with his therapist, his or her therapist. And then he says this is and Freud said this is rooted in a repetition of earlier intense feelings of affection for a parent. And then he gives the second part. Putting aside the familial baggage that Freud saw as accompanying transference, a deep sense of affection seems to be part of good conversation. Surely readers can identify with the positive feeling that happens whenever you engage in a conversation with somebody. Got it? Those are the 2 points. So what do you think is the correct answer? I've got answer for B and C. Nidhi says it's B, Satyendra says it's C. Satyendra, do you think it is this? Putting, as the author says, putting aside, oh, why am I doing this? Putting aside familial baggage. So, and then he gives his view. So he is not giving importance to familial baggage. In fact, he says put that aside. Ignore it. Right? So it cannot be C. Therefore, the correct answer is Freud associated with transference. The author said put that aside. Whenever you have a conversation with anybody, you have this following piece. But he does not necessarily agree with that, which is why he's asking you ignore that family part of it. You understood? That's why it is B. As I said, any article which is there in the form of an essay is always a bit harder, tougher to understand than an editorial. But the main passages that appear in CAT, for you to understand the basics, is always at the editorial level. Once in 434 classes, we'll start with an article. The problem that I have with an article is I don't mind giving you tougher articles. The problem that I have is the articles are very long and it takes me a lot of time to edit and get one part. This is about conversation. Later in the article, the author gives lots of examples of benefits of conversation, of how you can become a good conversationalist. So therefore, there were a lot of other questions that could have come, but I can't give you a 1,000-word passage, right? All right. Why does the author? So this is a logical structure question, which is what makes CAT different from CAT and ZAT, different from other exams. There's a ZAT king in my class. Good to see. A ZAT as an exam is something that I really enjoy taking more than CAT actually. Why does the author quote a character from Dashiell Hammett's novel? In the last part, he quotes a fat man talking to Sam Spade, right? To point out how Dashiell Hammett influenced Freud's talking cure, to illustrate how Freud's talking cure influenced many people, including authors like Dashiell Hammett, to point out how Sam Spade and the fat man were representations of Freud's theory, or to substantiate the importance of practicing conversation. Is it C or D? I've seen many answers for D. Maybe it is. I'm not saying it's not. Anyone for C? All right. Now, whenever you're given a quote, all right, whether you know it, you know for sure it must be D, then also go back to the quote. This is what I would do. Read it and make sure that it's right. A good conversation is an art that can be perfected. Best way is to converse regularly, which in other words means practice. And then he quotes the fat man. So that is obviously to tell you what are the benefits of practicing conversation regularly. Therefore, the answer is D. Excellent. All right. Next one. Which of the following would the author recommend as the remedy for certainty? Has he mentioned this anywhere? Let's quickly go back to the passage. Wherever he's mentioned certainty, this is where skimming techniques. You first remember what did he say, what did he say, what did he say, and you tell me which slide I should take you back to. All right. A violent argument with a friend who has an identical stand, a conversation with a friend who holds a different point of view, a debate with a group of scholars who shares one's point of view, or reading a book by an author with a similar ideology. Let's look at where he mentions the benefits of certainty here. It allows you to practice uncertainty, but the question is not about uncertainty, it's about certainty. right? There is no better antidote. Antidote is cure for certainty than a conversation with a friend who disagrees, right? So have a conversation with a friend who disagrees, you will be cured. You cannot be certain of anything. If your friend is articulate, if your friend is well read, you cannot be certain about anything. He will argue his way out of anything. Therefore, the correct answer is B. Perfect. All right. Next one. In the lines, and then he has given a quote. To recognize this difference and to welcome it is the premise upon which good conversation is built. What difference is the author referring to? Okay. Certainty is not good. Antidote for certainty. How can you be certain of any? He's not saying certainty is not good. Certainty means overconfidence. This is the way things are. That's what he says. It cures you from rigidity. If you're very rigid, you say whatever I say is correct. It's called my way or highway. Then you're not looking at another person's point of view. GD. Why do they have GDs in CAT? Well, not in CAT. They're making you right because most students shout their way out in group discussions, but there are still some institutes which conduct group discussion to not just see how you to not just see what you say, to also see how you say it. How do you behave in a group? Do you allow the other person to talk or not? So if you say whatever I know is the best, then there is no point of a good conversation, no? Right? So what is the author referring to when he talks of a difference? Let's just go back because the options are, I chose a passage which was slightly similar to something I saw in CAT. All right, this is where it is. Right? Read this. The search for satisfaction by our desiring self seems to me at the heart of good conversation. All right, fine. We seek to fill the lack in ourselves. We know we are not perfect, so we have some lack in ourselves. No, but you can, if somebody is talking for too long, King, then you say, I want to add here, and then you slowly get into it, right? We seek to fill the lack in conversation by engaging with someone who is other. Now, you don't know everything. You want to engage in conversation with the other so that you fill up the lacunae, the gaps in what you know, in what you think, in what you're not certain about. And that other can be any of these, who comes from another position, who comes from another background, another set of experiences, right? Everyone, when taken in a certain light, is other. Why is anyone and everyone other? Because at least in one point they are different from you. What is that? They at least have a different DNA. Every person is a point of view. George Orwell said that in 1984. He said that, right? He said that whenever you do not allow a person to speak, you are robbing yourself of another point of view. All right. Therefore, this we have already done. Yeah. So what is, to understand this difference, what difference is the author referring to? The difference in position in life, difference in background, difference in experience, or any person other than yourself is the difference he's talking about. What is the difference talking about? To understand this difference and welcome it. That is the basis of a good conversation, he says. What is the difference referring to? A, B, C, or D? I thought I saw some answers. Many people. Let me see your answers again quickly. Give me the question number, question 5, and tell me what's the answer, A, B, C, or D. If you say it is different in position in life, I'll ask you why not background. So the differences are all this and a difference in DNA. So any person, whether he is different from you in position, background, experience, even if he is your family member and many things are similar, the difference is that he is not you. That itself, right? So whenever you have 3 options looking like, author mentions 1, 2, 3, 4 and then sums it up. Remember, it cannot be 1, 2 or 3 because they are identical. If it's A, I'll ask you why not B. If it's B, I'll ask you why not C. Alright, so the correct answer is D. Excellent. Which one explains the meaning of the concluding lines of the passage? Let's go back to the concluding lines of the passage. Here, the concluding lines of the passage is this. As the fat man says to Sam Spade in Hammett's novel The Maltese Falcon, talking is something you cannot do judiciously unless you keep in practice. Say it in your own words. Simplify it. What does this sentence mean? Talking something you can't do judiciously unless you keep in practice. Say it in your own words. Simplify it and then look at an option which matches your explanation for the statement. What does it mean? Question 6. Nidhi thinks it's A. Virendra, talking judiciously means judicious means intelligently, wisely. Judicious actually means wise. So of course you can talk wisely. If you're a wise man, you can talk wisely. So why are you asking, can't we talk wisely? Of course you can talk wisely. But is the fat man in Hammett's novel saying that, when saying that you can't talk judiciously until you make it a practice? What does it mean? You cannot talk intelligently, you cannot talk well until you talk, until you practice talking. So A is the answer. All right? Okay. Next. What is the meaning of the word groundbreaking? Freud's groundbreaking work in psychoanalysis. What is the meaning of groundbreaking? Earth-shattering, deafening, pioneering, or mundane? Actually, the dictionary tells you it's mundane. I found it very funny. In India, we say mundane, so I'll stick to that. Yeah, Vedant thinks it's C. Virender also says it's C. What about the rest? Groundbreaking does not mean earth-shattering. It means breaking new ground, right? Or pioneering, starting something. Excellent. Which one is an antonym of refuted? Refuted. I'll tell you something, you refute my answer. What are you doing? Nidhi thinks it's B. The rest. Refute means to repudiate, to refuse, to say no, to contradict, to disavow. Therefore, its opposite is to confirm. I'll give you a theory, you prove it wrong, then you contradict it, you repudiate it, you disavow it. These are the meanings, but we don't want the meaning, we want the opposite. Priyanshi did not see the question properly, therefore the answer is B. All right, okay. Next, identify the option that has been expressed correctly. If you know the difference between everyone and all, and if you know the one simple rule of sentence construction, you'll get this answer correct. Which one is the correct answer of question 9? Please put the question number. Please mention the question number so that I... So when... Okay, let me just see your answers before I... Is everyone... Have you done subject-verb agreement? Everyone is considered singular or plural. Each, every, each and every, everyone, someone, anyone is considered one. Therefore, everyone takes a singular. Everyone should not be used with the plural. Each student was. Each student was given a unique ID. Is it a unique ID or an unique ID? Why? Because even if this is a vowel, it has the sound of a consonant. All right. Every student has answered this question. Has everyone done it? All right. Because each and everyone is singular. All right. Okay. Next one. Fill in the blanks with the correct words. This is a test of your preposition knowledge. I think this idea is relevant. Dash our understanding, dash conversation, dash an important activity. There's a blank here. 1, 2, 3, 4 blanks. Options here 4. Blanks are also here. Before connecting. Yes, Virender, thank you. After activity, there should be a dash. Okay? After activity, because it came to the other line, the blank went off in formatting. So the doubt you will have is relevant for or to our understanding. What do we say? Relevant to your understanding. Okay? Okay? Understanding of conversation as your understanding of conversation. Conversation as what? As an important activity in connecting with others. Most students use for and for, which is wrong. All right? It is relevant to what? Your understanding of conversation as an important activity. You are thinking the meaning of conversation as an important activity in connecting with others. All right, this was exactly as it is given in the passage, but we don't pay too much attention to the passage. When something is correct, is given in correct English, you don't notice. If I had corrected it in the passage, you might have noticed and asked me. Maybe I should do it next time. All right. Okay. How did you like that article? Was it easier than a newspaper editorial or tougher? The reading. As far as reading is concerned, tell me. It was short because if I had included one more paragraph, it would have been half of a concept. So it is shorter than your normal editorial by maybe 50 words. Yeah. So anyone interested in our, you should be, CAT course, unlock your free trial. You get 3 days free trial and use it. Enroll in our CAT 2023 other MBA exam test series. This will give you an advantage when you take CAT. All right. We'll give you mocks, we give you topic tests, we give you analysis of the mock, so you test yourself. I want to see one of you here in a toppers back, the toppers in the actual exam. We also have a comprehensive program with where you get a tablet, classroom sessions. The tablet gives you recorded sessions. All right. All India Open Mock, 27th August. Do not miss him. I hope you've all taken it. If you haven't, do take it. All India Open Mock 1. Take the exam. The window still open. Take it and then attend our analysis. All our mentors are there. Srinivas, Gautam, Saral, Vikrant, Naveen and Gaurav. All right. 90% scholarship if you do well and waiver of the fee to take the courses. And the most important question after CAT, why MBA? Every MBA institute asks this question. Let Srinivas help you with that question. Why, how and when MBA? All right. Devise your test taking strategy and 20th August 11 a.m. is our class. Join our social media handles and join me next Tuesday for yet another editorial analysis. Once in every 3-4 weeks, we shall have an analysis of something in another genre. All right, I will see you again very soon. Bye bye.